roughly half hour, we'll be kicking off to on Kijiji. Now, do you know what Kijiji is, right? It's kind of like eBay, sort of, but it's something where people can post stuff. I'm sure most of you know what it is. I'm sure I'm explaining this, and you're going, well, of course I know what it is. I'm not an idiot. Well, there may be a few who don't know. It's somewhere where average people can post stuff, and you can buy it and pay whatever they want. It's an advertising, a sales place. And there's a really interesting item that a friend posted on Twitter the other day, and I looked at it and I went, you know what? I'm going to get the guy who built that on here. Terry Cabral or Cabral? Terry is going to join me. Terry, you there?
I'm here.
Terry, is it Cabral or Cabral?
It's Cabral.
Cabral. Terry has got, you know what? You describe what is up for sale. It is a really cool car. Tell people what you've actually put together and what you're selling.
Well, it's a 1998 Toyota Corolla. It's white. Well, it started off as white. A friend of mine, Justin Clan, and I thought we'd do it up, and it's now known as a TiCat car. It's covered with TiCat player signatures that we've accumulated over the past 3 or 4 seasons. And it's one-of-a-kind car. It's covered in decals and signatures, and on the deck lid, which is the trunk top, there's a vinyl field with actual uprights made out of half-inch copper piping. It's actually pretty interesting to see.
Well, it is. And the pictures are on, as I say, the pictures are on Kijiji. People can see this. It's a, how do you go about getting dozens or maybe hundreds of autographs onto a car? Because you can't really exactly drive the car onto the field to get the players to do it. So what do you do? How do you get it?
True story. Last year, if I ever win, we actually were permitted to pull the car right in front of the entrance to the TiCat dressing room, and we had quite a good following there, so we got a ton there. And we just followed the team around. Training camp is the best time to get autographs, so Justin and I tend to try to take that week off, and we hit the training camp with some autographs and some good conversations.
What do you? I got to ask, what do you use as far as a pen goes to make sure they don't rub off? Because I got to think with a lot of pens you would use, it's just gone as soon as the first rain comes.
No, these are actual paint pens. They have the shaker tube in it, and they tend to last a couple of years, at least a couple of good years on there.
So you've painted this, so it's got all the autographs. It's got any idea how many autographs it has on there now?
Oh, geez, I stopped counting at 50. It's just too much to handle.
Okay, I mean, it looks like a lot more than 50, I'll be honest with you, when I look at the pictures. But and it's done up red, or it's not red, it's done up white and black and gold, and you've, as you say, you got the field on the back. Is this something that you had ever planned to do, or was it just something that came together when you started getting a few autographs on there?
I'm going to be honest with you. Justin and I were sitting around after one of the TiCat losses and leaning on the car, having a few cool ones, and Justin actually came up with a concept, and then we kind of laughed about it. I went home probably the next weekend, bought some trim clads, and started doing the racing stripes, and it just kept going on and snowballed. Justin's dad, Jim, ended up offering up the goalposts, so they were custom made by him, and it just didn't stop.
Do you have a background in car painting or car decorating in any way?
Absolutely not. Two unprofessional guys. Justin's pretty good on the computer, so he designed some of the decals, but we sent them off to one of the local sticker places, and next thing you know, for about $150 into some decals and paint, and we're having a ton of fun with it.
And what kind of comments do you get from people when they see it?
The funniest part is when we're driving around, we have people rushing up behind us to try to get pictures with their cell phones. That's probably the funnest part. Some of the other comments are, I can't believe you drive the car. Shouldn't you have that part that I ever win? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it actually, I mean, you've answered the question, but it still does drive. It's still a working car.
Absolutely. It's my daily runner to and from work. I live in Hamilton, work in Cambridge. The reason I'm putting it up for sale is I actually got a 99 Corolla, but it's green, so I probably won't be doing the TiCat theme on it. And it has half the kilometers on it, so it's a lot more reliable. I got that car for free from my sister, true story. And that's why he came up with the idea of selling it and giving the money to charity. My sister's a big believer in charity work and volunteering her time at the Bob Hemp Hospice.
Oh, good for her. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where the money's heading. So hopefully somebody's going to write me a check for whatever, and then I can donate something in her name.
Well, let me just say, as a football fan, one of the guys who volunteers up at the Bobcats Hospice, and he hates when I mention it because he is too modest to mention himself, but Hall of Famer John Bonk, Hamilton guy, is always up there helping out. One of the really good guys in the world of football. I'd throw that in. Was the plan always when you started putting this car together? Was the plan always to sell it?
You know what? That plan actually came up this year, and it was actually a plan that my friend, again, Justin, suggested that we did he wanted to do an eBay auction. To be honest with you, I was going to take the hood and the trunk off, hang it in my garage, and scrap the rest of the car, but my wife encouraged me, as wives sometimes do, to sell it and give the money for charity. My sister, God bless her, wouldn't take a penny for the car she gave me, so that's where the idea came up of getting the money over to Bob at the hospice. Any
idea what you're looking for to bring in from this?
I'll be happy with a smile, but to be honest with you, I can't put a dollar figure on it. It's whatever it's going to be worth to somebody. I'm really hoping with both fingers crossed that it's going to be a TiCat fan and not an Argo fan. We've got a lot of Twitter followings from the Argo fans saying that they want to drive a 4x4 over it and that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that my friends at TiCat Nation are going to come through for me.
You actually have had people from the Argo say, "Let's get the TiCat car and smush it."
Yeah, we have some threads on Twitter right now on the car, and some pictures of 4x4s running over a car with the TiCat decal on it. But they're really looking to get it. I mean, I haven't had an offer yet, but I'm hoping that when I do get an offer, it's going to be a TiCat fan that either wants to work on it, which can do with cars, or maybe somebody that just doesn't want to get into Argo fans.
See, I'm looking at this thing, and I mean, I realize it's a 98 Corolla. It's not the fanciest of cars. It's not something, it's not a Rolls Royce or something. But nonetheless, with what you guys have already started, this thing would be fantastic just to have down at the stadium somewhere with like every guy who comes through the team just sign the thing.
Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be wonderful. Just have it down there again. Maybe they have to, they may have to start over with something new and a little fancier. I don't know, but I still think it's a great, very Hamilton kind of thing. It really is. It kind of screams Hamilton.
Absolutely. Actually, that would be like a dream come true to have somebody, get a newer car and then we work together as a group and come up with the same kind of concept, just kind of carrying it on with something a little more reliable. It's going to last a little longer.
One of the other things, if he still does it, I don't know if he still does, but Pete Diakowski used to take the bus to every game. I'm thinking you get it to Pete Diakowski and he has a car to drive to every game now in this thing.
Yeah, and you know what? He could probably afford the gas.
I don't know if the suspension would hold up in a 98 Corolla with Pete. He's a big man, but that would be very funny. Listen, Terry Cabral, thanks so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. People can go online. What would they type in if they want to find this on Kijiji to see pictures of it?
Easiest way is to look under TiCat car, or actually if you just go on Kijiji and look for 98 Corolla, there's a couple on there.
98, okay, so TiCat car or 98 Corolla. It's Kijiji.ca, and at the top, you don't have to put in location or anything, just put in TiCat car or 98 Corolla, and you'll come to it. You can see all the pictures of what Terry's done. Thanks for doing it tonight, Terry. Enjoy the game tonight.
I will.
That is Terry Cabral, who's put together the TiCat car. Again, go on Kijiji.ca, and you will be able to find the pictures. It is just a cool thing. It's a cool thing that they've started by just going grassroots to Ivor Stadium before Ivor was torn down, parking the car in front of the dressing room and getting all the players who have been coming through to sign the thing. And also says an awful lot, frankly, about the CFL, that the players would actually do this. There are times when you look at professional athletes, no matter what league they're in, you go, yeah, you know what, they're not gonna bother. CFL players, by and large, are pretty good about this kind of stuff. We hope it does not end up in the hands of Argo fans, especially ones with a giant car crusher or something else, because that would be a shame. It would be funny in the sense, and when I say funny, here's why. Have you been to an Argo game lately? Nobody in Toronto seems to care. So just to have the evidence that there is, in fact, a rivalry by having somebody from Toronto care enough to want to crush a TiCat car would at least give us some hint that there is someone down the highway who still cares about the CFL and cares about that team. Even if you hate that team, at least it would indicate that there is some passion for that blue and white team. That would be encouraging, because I've said this a number of times. You cannot have a rivalry in sports that only goes one way. A rivalry requires hatred from both sides and passion from both sides. You cannot have one group of fans passionately disliking the other and the other yawning and saying, well, whatever, who cares? That's not a rivalry anymore. That's something else. I don't know what that is, but that's not a rivalry. So the fact that somebody would be interested enough to do that would at least be encouraging. But that said, still better if it ends up in the hands of a TiCat fan somewhere. As I say, if you're the TiCats, if somebody from the TiCats is tuned in listening, give them a couple $grand, do whatever, buy the car and set it at the field and set it outside and let all the players as they come through, put it in that little square and have players, every guy you sign the car. Do something, have some fun with it. TiCats, by the way, do play at 8:30 tonight against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Interestingly, Bombers won their first game against Saskatchewan. Two of the teams in the league who managed to survive week one with quarterbacks who were still standing.